I stood in the marble foyer of the Wellington Club, admiring how the crystal chandeliers caught the morning light. 2 years ago, Caroline had orchestrated my humiliating rejection from this very spot, making sure every society matron witnessed my escort out by security. Today, I was here for a different kind of escort. Ms. Reynolds? The club's manager, Harrison, approached nervously. The board is assembled in the main dining room, though Mrs. Harrison Peters insisted on waiting for her husband. Caroline can insist all she wants, I smiled, smoothing my Chanel suit. The emergency board meeting starts now. I could hear Caroline's voice carrying from the dining room, probably regaling her minions with another story about how I tried to buy my way into their precious social circle after David left me for her. I mean, really, she was saying as I entered, some people just don't understand that certain things can't be purchased. Breeding, for instance. How fascinating, I interrupted. We'll have to discuss purchasing power later. Right now, we have more pressing matters. Caroline's perfectly highlighted head snapped up. You can't be in here. This is a private meeting. Actually, I took my place at the head of the table. I called this meeting. As majority shareholder of Wellington Club Holdings. The room went silent. Caroline's champagne glass froze halfway to her surgically enhanced lips. Impossible, she declared. The club's shares are held by founding families only. Were held, I corrected, nodding to my assistant Amy, who began distributing folders. Amazing what people will sell when their hedge funds collapse. Speaking of which, how is David's fund doing? I heard the SEC has some questions. Caroline's face flushed beneath her expensive foundation. Whatever game you're playing. This isn't a game. I opened my folder. First item on the agenda, membership review, particularly cases of discrimination and improper application processing. You can't do this, Caroline stood, her designer dress rustling. My husband is currently trying to explain to federal investigators why client funds were used to maintain your lifestyle. I smiled pleasantly. He won't be making any board meetings for a while. The other board members shifted uncomfortably. They'd all followed Caroline's lead in blackballing me, convinced her social influence was untouchable. Now then, I continued, let's discuss the 12 times my membership application was lost, along with applications from other successful women who didn't meet Caroline's aesthetic requirements. Those applications didn't meet our standards, Caroline snapped. Your standards? I raised an eyebrow. Like the standard that let in 3 women currently under investigation for charity fraud? Or the standard that approved memberships for those involved in David's pyramid scheme? Amy distributed another set of documents, the full audit of membership approvals over the past 2 years, along with corresponding financial irregularities. Caroline's social circle began to fracture visibly. Her closest allies suddenly found the crystal chandelier fascinating, while others edged their chairs away from her. This is revenge, she accused, because David chose me. Chose you? I laughed softly. Caroline, David didn't choose you. He chose the image you projected. The same image that's about to shatter along with your social standing. You can't touch me, she declared. I am the heart of this club. Actually, I gestured to Amy, who unveiled a large presentation board, here about to be its cautionary tale. These are the new membership guidelines. Merit-based, transparent, and most importantly, I paused for effect, free from any single person's influence. The board members leaned forward, suddenly interested. They'd all suffered under Caroline's arbitrary social rules. Furthermore, I continued, the club will be opening its doors to a more diverse membership. Women in technology, arts, philanthropy. You're destroying everything we stand for. Caroline's voice rose hysterically. No, I'm restoring what this club was meant to be, a gathering place for genuine social and intellectual exchange, not a weapon for your personal vendettas. I nodded to Harrison. Please escort Mrs. Harrison Peters out. Her membership has been suspended pending review. You can't. Caroline sputtered. I can, and I am. Oh, and Caroline? I called as security approached. That Hermes bag you're clutching. It's a counterfeit, another item for the SEC to discuss with David. As Caroline was led out, her perfectly maintained facade cracking, I turned back to the board. Now, shall we discuss the club's new direction? I believe it's time for some authentic leadership. The room erupted in eager agreements, amazing how quickly loyalty shifts when the power dynamic changes. Amy leaned in to whisper, David's lawyer is calling. He wants to discuss a deal. Tell him I'm busy renovating his wife's social kingdom. I surveyed the room, my room now. Some things really can't be purchased. Caroline was right about that. Respect, integrity, true social influence. Those have to be earned. And I'd earn every bit of my revenge, one share at a time. The Wellington Club was about to learn what real power looked like, and it had nothing to do with who you married or what circles you moved in. It was about who owned the circle itself. Let Caroline chew on that during her permanent exile from the social scene she thought she ruled. After all, she taught me so much about exclusion. It was only fair to return the lesson. The Wellington Club's transformation sent shockwaves through the city's social scene. Within a week, Caroline's carefully curated Instagram feed of club lunches and charity galas went dark, replaced by frantic damage control as news of David's indictment spread through the society pages she used to dominate. The membership applications are flooding in, Amy reported, setting down a thick stack of folders. Particularly from the women Caroline previously rejected. That Nobel laureate she called too academic is especially interested. I smiled, remembering Caroline's infamous comment about how real ladies don't discuss physics at lunch. Priority approval for all the women she blacklisted. Let's show them what genuine social inclusion looks like. Through the club's floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched Caroline's former court scrambling to realign themselves. The same women who'd followed her lead in shunning me were now sending elaborate flower arrangements to my office, their cards full of gushing apologies and requests for private meetings. Mrs. Harrison Peters is here, Harrison announced, looking uncomfortable. She's demanding to speak with you. In the main dining room, I decided, where everyone can watch. Caroline stormed in, her designer outfit slightly less pristine than usual. Amazing how quickly style suffers when your husband's assets are frozen. You've destroyed everything, she hissed, dropping into the chair across from me. Do you have any idea what you've done? Actually, I do. I gestured to the bustling room around us. I've restored the Wellington Club to its original purpose, a place where accomplished people can gather without artificial barriers. Accomplished? She scoffed. That tech entrepreneur you admitted wears off-the-rack suits and runs a billion-dollar company, unlike someone who runs nothing but other people's credit cards into the ground. Caroline flinched. David will fix this once the investigation shows how you use club charity funds for personal shopping. I finished. That should be an interesting society page headline. You're enjoying this, she accused. Almost as much as you enjoyed having security escort me out 2 years ago. I sipped my tea. How does it feel being on the other side of social humiliation? The room had gone quietly attentive, everyone pretending not to eavesdrop while catching every word. I'll start my own club, Caroline declared, with people who understand proper social order. With what money? I asked mildly. The SEC has frozen everything, including your personal accounts. Something about suspicious transfers from the club's charity foundation. Her perfectly maintained facade cracked slightly. Those transfers were approved. By you. After you forged David's signature. Another interesting detail for the investigators. Amy appeared with more documents. The full audit of the charity foundation as requested. Should I forward copies to the board? And the SEC, I added. They're particularly interested in those fashion show fundraisers that never actually raised funds for anyone but Caroline's closet. Caroline's hand shook as she reached for her water glass. What do you want? To humiliate me? No, Caroline. I want to thank you. I leaned forward. You taught me that social power isn't about who you know or what you wear. It's about who you are when everything else is stripped away. Is that what this is? Some kind of moral lesson. Consider it a hostile takeover of your social empire. I gestured to the room. Everything you valued, the status, the influence, the power to exclude others, I now control, and I'm using it to build something better. Through the windows, I could see new members arriving, brilliant women Caroline had deemed unworthy of her circle. Their achievements made her social machinations look like child's play. The board meeting is in an hour, Annie reminded me. Perfect timing. We're voting on the new charity leadership. I smiled at Caroline. Don't worry, we'll find someone who actually understands the difference between fundraising and personal shopping. Caroline stood abruptly. This isn't over. Actually, it is. Your membership has been permanently revoked. And unlike you, I keep excellent records of why. As she turned to leave, I called after her, "Oh, and Caroline?" The Wellington Club's dress code now includes off-the-rack suits. Quality isn't about the label, it's about the person wearing it. She fled, leaving behind only the fading echo of her designer heels and the whispers of her former social circle. The new membership committee is ready, Amy reported. They're especially excited about the mentorship program for young professional women. I surveyed what was now my domain, not just the physical space, but the social power Caroline had wielded so carelessly. Tell them we're not just changing membership rules. We're changing the entire concept of what social influence means in this city. Outside, Caroline's former allies were already adapting to the new order, discovering that real accomplishments trumped social games. The Wellington Club was becoming what it should have been all along, a place where success was measured by merit, not marriage. "Should we issue a statement about Mrs. Harrison Peters?" Amy asked. "No need." I watched as Caroline's car disappeared down the drive. Let her figure out what real social exile feels like. After all, I smiled, remembering her famous quote about me, "Some people need to learn their proper place in society." And Caroline was about to learn hers, somewhere very, very far from the Wellington Club's newly polished halls. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking someone's power. It's using that power to build something they could never imagine. Welcome to the new social order, Caroline. Hope you enjoy watching from the outside. 6 months later, I sat in the Wellington Club's renovated ballroom, watching the city's most accomplished women gather for our first annual Women in Leadership Gala. The irony wasn't lost on me that this was the same room where Caroline had once held her infamous fashion and fertility luncheons. "The Times wants to do a feature," Amy murmured, sliding a newspaper across my table. "They're calling it the Wellington Revolution. How one woman transformed a social club into a power network." I glanced at the society pages Caroline used to rule. Now, instead of photos of her charity fashion shows, there were articles about the club's new initiatives: a startup incubator for women entrepreneurs, mentorship programs, and genuine philanthropic efforts that actually helped people instead of just funding designer wardrobes. Have you seen this? The tech entrepreneur Caroline had mocked for her off-the-rack suits approached, holding up her phone. "Caroline's trying to start a rival club in the suburbs. How's that working out?" I asked, already knowing the answer. 3 people showed up to her first meeting. At Starbucks, she laughed. Apparently, her only remaining allies are the ones also under SEC investigation. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see new members arriving: CEOs, scientists, artists, and philanthropists who would have never passed Caroline's proper society standards. The club's waiting list now included Nobel laureates and self-made billionaires, while Caroline struggled to get a reservation at chain restaurants. "Mrs. Reynolds?" Harrison appeared. "Mrs. Harrison Peters is outside. Again, she's demanding to speak with you about David's case. Tell her to contact our lawyers." I turned back to the gala. "And Harrison? Make sure she understands that the restraining order includes the parking lot." Caroline's descent had been spectacular. After David's conviction for fraud, she tried to maintain her social position through increasingly desperate means. Last week, she'd been caught trying to sneak into the club through the service entrance, the same one she'd once forced others to use. "The Charity Foundation audit is complete," Amy reported. "Would you like to hear how much Caroline actually diverted to personal expenses?" "Save it for the SEC." I stood to address the room. "Ladies, welcome to the new Wellington Club." The ballroom fell silent, these powerful women giving me the same attention they gave to corporate boards and university lectures. 2 years ago, I was told I didn't belong here. I continued. That some things, breeding, class, social standing, couldn't be purchased. They were right about one thing: true worth can't be bought. It has to be earned. I saw some of Caroline's former allies shift uncomfortably in their seats, remembering their role in my exclusion. But real power isn't about excluding others. It's about lifting them up. That's why the Wellington Club is now what it should have always been. A place where achievement matters more than ancestry, where innovation outweighs inheritance, and where the only social currency that matters is what you contribute to society. Applause erupted, drowning out the faint sound of Caroline's Mercedes being turned away at the gate one last time. To new beginnings, I raised my glass. And to remembering that the best revenge isn't just succeeding, It's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemies become cautionary tales. Later, as I watched these accomplished women networking and forming genuine connections, Amy handed me an envelope. Caroline's final appeal to the board. She's offering to publicly apologize in exchange for reinstatement. I dropped it unopened into the shredder. Some things really can't be purchased, like my forgiveness. Through the window, I could see the club's new sign illuminated against the evening sky. Below it, a smaller plaque read, "Success is the best revenge, but karma needs a proper venue." Caroline had taught me about social power. Now she was learning about powerlessness. And the Wellington Club, it was finally becoming what money alone could never buy, a true testament to female achievement and solidarity. Sometimes the best way to deal with social climbers is to own the entire ladder and watch them fall one rung at a time. Welcome to the real elite circle, ladies.